You may not know this, but planning long-term goals the right way can be the determining factor in your long-term happiness. I want you to tune into this episode to learn how to set your future self up for success. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Tiffany Shelton Mariola. I'm a neuropsychologist, published author, and founder of Mod Ambition. I post every week about planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. So please subscribe to this channel or follow on the podcast. By the end of today's episode, you're going to know how to plan and manifest long-term goals so that you can design and live the life of your dreams. The strategy I'm going to share with you today, I've been using for over a decade, and it's helped me design a life full of joy, love, and success. But wait, before we jump in, quickly, I want to share with you guys that I'm going to be doing a free live mini course giving my exact formula for manifestation and intentional planning that goes a bit further into practical strategies to manifest big goals. So be sure to check out my free live mini course called Ambitious Manifester. You can just go to tiffanyShelton.com/mini course. It's going to include 3 live masterclasses, opportunities to ask me questions directly, and a free workbook to help you apply everything that you've learned. Again, you guys can go to tiffanyShelton.com/mini course if you want to join me. Okay, now that I let you know about that, let's get started. I want to encourage you to stick around to the end of this video because there are good gems here that can really help make a difference in your long-term happiness, not just your goals, but your actual happiness. Many people walk around reacting to life in the short term only to look up and find themselves unfulfilled. I want to flip that on its head for you and give you valuable strategies that will help you plan and manifest long-term goals that will make your life in the end more meaningful, more valuable, right? Okay, so the first thing that I want to share with you when it comes to planning and manifesting your long-term goals is the concept of reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is starting with what you want and in a stepwise way working backwards by breaking up your larger goal into smaller pieces. And there are 4 things I want you to remember when it comes to setting these large goals you're going to be starting with. The first thing I want you to consider when it comes to setting these large goals is what are your values and intentions for your overall life? If you don't do anything else, start with this. What is most meaningful for you and what is your intention for your life? What are those things in life that are most important to you? Is it family? Is it spirituality? Is it achievement? Is it learning? What are your values? I would list out as many of the things that are most important to you in life before even starting the process of setting these larger long-term goals. Number 2, I want you to shoot for the moon with these larger long-term goals. I mean, shoot for if anything in life could be possible. What would you want for your life? As Les Brown said, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you will land among the stars. In the Mod Ambition Goal Planner, I specifically infused it to walk you through this entire process. Everything that you're learning here today, the planner is just going to walk you through that whole process. And in the planning pages of the 90-day planner, it helps you stay on track with those longer term goals. And the original goal workbook for the year, it helps you do just that. If you guys want to be notified about the relaunch, the Mod Ambition Planner is relaunching December 2nd. There is a limited supply, so if you want to be the first to know when it comes out December 2nd, be sure you sign up to that wait list that I'll link below. The third thing that I want to be clear about when it comes to setting these long-term goals is to be explicit about why you want each long-term goal you set. This is going to help you stay motivated along the journey. Research has showed the people that achievement research, again, I'm a psychologist, so I'm, always in the research, especially achievement psychology. Research has shown that those who achieve their goals the most are the ones that stay connected with why they want their goal in the first place. So be very explicit about why you want each long-term goal and how it's going to move you closer to those values that you listed in the first tip I gave you about this. And the fourth thing I want you guys to know when it comes to setting long-term goals, if you have any resistance to setting a goal, let's say you have a goal that in 5 years I'm going to make $10 million. Even though that's something you really, really want, you may have some limiting beliefs that are causing you some kind of weird emotion when you say it, either fear outright or maybe even just like a twinge of like, oh, is that really going to happen? Any kind of disbelief, any kind of resistance. There's a couple things that you might consider doing. If you have any resistance, because that every time you see that goal, your mind is going to work against you in a way. You can do things to kind of trick your mind into believing it or moving closer to that goal until you can explicitly state that goal and believe that it's going to happen. The first thing you can do is be more general. So you can say, instead of saying as explicit number, you might say financial freedom. Anything way that you can be more general about the goal without feeling like any negative emotion or resistance when you say it. Another thing that you can do is focus on a long-term goal that you can control. So the $10 million might feel out of your control and be harder for you to believe, causing you some resistance. So instead, you might say that I'm going to do everything in my power to make $10 million in the next 5 years. Something that you can believe in. So again, be more general or focus on what you can control in those long-term goals if you have any resistance. If you don't, just state it, as is and keep it as big and glamorous as possible. Okay, moving on to the second tip for planning and manifesting your long-term goals, which is to jump from star to star until you get to your moon goal. So what I mean by this is to begin the reverse engineering process by setting smaller star goals, which will act as objectives that move you closer to what you are trying to manifest in the long term. So again, it's kind of using that Les Brown metaphor. So for each moon goal, I suggest writing down 3 SMART goals, so specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely goals that will help move you closer to those moon goals. So a fun fact, a study by researcher and psychologist Gail Matthews found that you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals when you write them down, and even more impressive, you're 76% more likely to achieve your goals if you write action commitments and check in weekly with your progress. So it's really effective to not only have the moon goals, but also have these smaller objectives that you can work towards and track and keep up with. This is why I designed the Mod Ambition Goal Planner to be infused with conscious work at each important milestone, whether that's the quarter, the month, the week, and the days, so it can help you stay on track with your long-term goals. Again, it's relaunching December 2nd, and the link to that is below. Also, here are some other things to consider when making these SMART STAR goals. So first, prioritize and organize them. What's most important to you and how do you want to go about achieving them? Create routines and system to infuse these actions into your life. And then create STAR goals that help prepare you and your lifestyle for the long-term goals that you're hoping to manifest. So you want to start making space in your life already for these long-term goals to manifest, and some of your STAR goals can be about that preparation. Okay, tip number 3 is to become an expert in delayed gratification. When it comes to long-term goals, delayed gratification is going to take you far. So Curtis Martin said, never let a short-term desire get in the way of a long-term goal. So according to Britannia.com, delay of gratification, which is the act of resisting an impulse to take an immediately available reward in the hope of obtaining a more valued reward in the future. This ability to delay gratification is essential to self-regulation or self-control. Getting my PhD was certainly a tool to help me become more disciplined and practice delayed gratification in order to meet a long-term goal. There were so many times I wanted to quit. I wasn't making money, the work was hard, and graduation and licensure many times felt like a distant dream. What helped me last the long haul and finally manifest this goal was discipline, number 1, keeping my eye on the prize, expecting my goal as inevitable, so just knowing that I was going to eventually graduate, learning to stop avoiding the pain and the challenges of the program and commit to value-driven action. So essentially, I really harnessed my discipline. I've always been a disciplined person. I'm kind of also an OCD person, so once I have my mind on something, I become obsessed and I don't give up until that thing is accomplished. It's just kind of the way my mind works, and that helped me keep my eye on the prize. So that's just a part of my personality that helped me. But I also developed discipline that there were a lot of things that could have been easier and more fulfilling at the moment that I passed on because I was allowing myself to practice delayed gratification, because I knew the end goal was going to be larger than any of those in the moment little fleeing jobs that I could have taken or done and quit, in the long term. So I really learned to stop avoiding the pain and the challenges of the program because it was hard. I accepted that. I stopped trying to make it go away. And even though it was challenging, I really committed to doing whatever it took in the face of those challenges to get towards what I wanted, which was to graduate, to help more people, to be a neuropsychologist. All those things were more meaningful to me than those short-term gratifications that came with quitting the program, if that makes sense. So when it comes to these long-term goals, you really want to begin to cultivate the habit of delaying gratification. As my fourth tip, I do want to offer you some things to keep in mind when you're planning and manifesting long-term goals, just some practical things that can help you when it comes to long-term goals. First, you want to consider the season of life that you're in when you're making these STAR goals. You may be in a season of life that you can't devote as much time as you would like to these long-term goals. So it's going to be effective to maybe pace yourself a little bit. And then another thing that you may want to keep in mind is where you're going to keep these long-term goals. If you use a planner, like a yearly planner, the material inside of that may change yearly. What I do is I have a wellness binder, like a personal wellness binder, and I keep like my 5 and 10-year goals in that, and all the like conscious work around them in that, as well as all my old vision boards, my health plans, anything that's like really long term that it's not going to be in my like yearly planner or my day-to-day planner. So you might want to do something like that when it just comes to like physically where you're going to keep all of this stuff. And don't forget, if you want to take a deep dive into my exact formula for manifestation and intentional planning that goes a bit further into practical strategies to manifest big goals, be sure to check out my free mini course, Ambitious Manifester. You can just go to tiffanyShelton.com/mini course, and I hope to see you guys there. I would love to end this episode by offering an intention for you this week. On your journey to becoming the highest version of yourself, may you be disciplined, compassionate, and happy. Cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. If you like this episode and you like all things planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life, be sure to subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out, as well as follow the podcast if you're listening to the podcast. And until next time, namaste.